also in Brazil, the work day is usually 44 hours per week. How long is...
Not 44 hours. No.
Sejam muito bem-vindos a mais um vídeo aqui no canal Tá de Mala Pronta. Eu sou a Lê.
En hallo, ik ben Freek, ik kom uit Nederland en ik ben vandaag bij het interview erbij.
E no vídeo de hoje a gente vai falar sobre trabalho aqui na Holanda. E esse vídeo é um pouquinho diferente dos que vocês já viram aqui no canal, porque hoje eu vou entrevistar my boss. Vou entrevistar um holandês, gente. Eu vou perguntar para ele todos os detalhes sobre como funciona o trabalho aqui na Holanda, as regras, coisas diferentes que, inclusive, comparado com o Brasil, são muito diferentes, e os benefícios e o ponto de vista dele como dono de empresa também, para ajudar a gente aí em umas dicas para vocês que querem se aplicar para vagas aqui na Holanda. Então fica até o final desse vídeo, já deixa o teu joinha, te inscreve aqui no canal. E o vídeo de hoje vai ser em inglês, mas eu vou deixar aqui nos subtítulos para vocês, nas legendas, em português para vocês acompanharem, tá bom? Então vamos lá. Let's go start this video today.
Perfect.
I have opened a box on Instagram and I have received so many questions and we will answer them. And the first question, Freek, before the first question, please, could you introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit more about who is Freek, what do you do, and your specialty and everything.
Yeah, of course. So hi, I'm Freek. I'm Letitia's boss, as she said earlier. But I'm just 27 years old. I have my own startup. It's called Hebel, where we make products for blind people. And I started around 5 years ago. And I think I'm mainly here because I'm Dutch, so I should know a lot about the Netherlands. And also because I run a company, so I know a lot about hiring people, what it's about to be in a conversation when you're getting hired, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. And I'm happy to share that here today.
That's great. Let's help some Brazilian people to come to the Netherlands.
Yes, you should. Yeah.
So the first question that I have to you is that it's a kind of a curious thing, because in Brazil, Freek, we have like a work card. I don't know the exactly word in English, but here in the Netherlands it's a little bit different, right? Because our working card is like a passport. And we don't have that here.
No, we don't have. So here you have a contract with your employer that you use, but there's no work card. So if you've worked at a lot of different jobs or you hopped a lot of different jobs, actually no one has to know. You don't have to show it anywhere. It's not somewhere written down. You just put it on your own resume if you want to. So we don't have this here. No.
Okay. That's interesting. Really different from Brazil.
Yes.
Because companies will know if you have passed in so many companies.
Yeah. Now here we don't know, but what does happen a lot is that you call the company where you worked for before to check. But I think that's common also.
It's also in Brazil common. The second question then, it's also in Brazil, the work day is usually 44 hours per week. How long is
Not 44 hours. No. Here it's quite different. I think we in the Netherlands like to have a really good work-life balance. So it differs a little bit per job. You have jobs where you work 40 hours a week, where that's full-time. I'd say most jobs here is 36 or 32 hours per week. And that is because we also like to work a little bit less, because you also have to take care of the kids. So most of the time, both parents have at least one day a week off. That's very common here. And it's dependent on the job you're in. So some jobs longer, some jobs shorter, but in general, it's quite a short work week, which is nice.
I love that part. I got used so quickly to that. Oh, that's nice. Next question, which are the common job benefits here in the Netherlands?
Yeah, so again, it differs a lot per job, but one of the things is that you get a holiday allowance, which is like the 8% ruling, so it's on 8% on top of your salary that you get around May every year, which is like a kind of like a bonus that you get on top of your salary, which is super nice just before the holidays, so you can spend a bit more on the holidays. That's one thing. It's your holiday. So your holiday in general, I think you have a holiday of around 5 weeks it's at like the minimum what people start with, but very often you can trade your time for time. So every hour you work extra, you can later on take off. So a lot of people add this to their holidays, which is another benefit. And then your pension, all employers have to start working on your pension, so they have to pay every month to build up your pension over time. So without you even knowing it, you're building your pension, and you can ask your employer like what exactly you're building on, but that's also there. And then it depends on the employer, but especially if you're in tech jobs, very often you have a 13th or even a 14th month of salary. So you don't get salary every month, but you get salary every 4 weeks, so you have a 13th month. And then if the year went well, at the end of the year you'll get like an extra month or sometimes 2 extra months of salary. So there's a lot of potential benefits you can have.
Yeah, most of these things we also have in Brazil, but what is the most different one, I think, is the holidays, because in Brazil we average have like 30 days of holidays, but it's not working days, it's like 30 days running days.
Oh, really? So no, here it's just for your work days. So if you take a week off, it only costs you 5 days. And if you work 4 days a week, it only costs you 4 days.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. So in average, let's say in months, people have more or less 1 month and a half, sometimes almost 2 months of holidays during a year.
Yeah, and if you're like in teaching, for example, it can be like 3 months a year.
Oh my god. Okay, that's really good.
So pretty much so far, you don't have to work that much.
and to have also a very good life, like average, really good life here.
Yes. Yeah.
Next question. This one is from Angela. She asked if there are many job opportunities here in the Netherlands, in your opinion.
Yeah, especially right now there are so many. I think there are a lot of opportunities. It depends a little bit like what you're doing for work. Right now there's a super big shortage of people in tech. So this can be engineering, so like high skill jobs, but also things like plumbing or working construction. Like all of these jobs, we have a big shortage right now. So I would say in general it's quite okay to find a job here, but it depends on the area that you work in.
And in your opinion, which jobs are the easiest ones for people that come from abroad to get?
Yeah, I would say engineering, and especially more high skill engineering. And the reason why is because in those jobs, English is often the only requirement. You don't have to speak Dutch for those jobs. And we have a lot of big companies here, like tech companies, who are just really trying to get talent in. And there's a big shortage right now of these people. So if you work in those kind of jobs, that really helps. Anything technical, I think that's where you'll find the easiest jobs right now.
How can people be high skilled? Like what do they need to have to be a high skilled worker here? Yeah,
so like as an example, it would be anything from like software developer or embedded, like anything development. So anything like software development, hardware development, embedded development, all these things work, but also technical things like in construction, so just working with your hands and anything in that area. I think that's all right now considered high skilled jobs, I believe. But I'm definitely missing a lot because there's a lot more like this, but it's also the area I'm in, so that's what I know more of. Anything in those.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
And Angela also asked if it's possible to get jobs here speaking English, or we need to know Dutch as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're a good example. Your Dutch is of course really good, but not good.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely possible to get jobs here when you just with English. But I also have to say it is harder. Like I'm not gonna lie, it is more difficult to get a job when you don't just speak English, and also your level of English depends, because in the Netherlands I would say on average people speak really good English.
Really fast.
Really fast. I'm sorry, I also speak fast English. So if your level of English is good but not on that level, people will notice. So even when you do speak English, it's a bit more difficult, but it's definitely possible because almost everyone here speaks English.
For example, in my area in marketing, it's quite hard to find a job that requires only English. Because it's about communication and talking to the Dutch market. So it's a little bit tricky. I was lucky to find the table. Usually here in these areas that requires communication, it's hard if you don't have Dutch.
Yes, and it's definitely an asset. Also, your level of English also really depends, I would say. So if you don't speak Dutch, it's not a problem, but then your English has to be like to a certain standard. And yes, for jobs where you have to do anything with communication or where you have to speak with a lot of just Dutch people, it is more difficult. Plus, I think, but I don't know this as well, that in bigger companies, when you don't speak Dutch, like trying to fit in can be more of a challenge.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's there. So those are the challenges, but it's completely possible, right?
Yeah, it is, indeed. Next question. Natalia asks now, do you have any tips for efficient job searches in the Netherlands for Brazilian people to use?
I think right now there's a few platforms that just work well. So like online, LinkedIn is the most common in the Netherlands. So job searching on LinkedIn just works really well. But also I think you should stand out a little bit, because on LinkedIn, for example, if I post a job on LinkedIn for a new person, for Letitia's job actually, I think we had little over 200 applications, which is a lot of them, but so many of them are just a standard application, like you just click apply, there's no extra message. I think it's really easy to stand out by just doing 5 minutes of extra work to do that, and I think that helps you a lot. So just doing a little bit extra really stands out, to stand out in the crowd, that helps. And then platforms like LinkedIn, I think there's something called Magnet Me in the Netherlands that's used a lot. There's a few, just Google like job searching Netherlands, those platforms online works really well. Most of them you can just do an online call, like if you don't have to be in the Netherlands when you're still in the process. So that's what I do. Do you have any extra advice?
Yeah, so I have done a video here in the channel already about how to search jobs. So I will put here in the cards as well for you guys, sharing some platforms that I use to apply. So LinkedIn is one. I use a lot Indeed here.
Indeed.
And also Tempo-Team is a very known one. So but if you want to know deeper about these platforms and how to apply for the jobs, you can watch this video here that I will put in the cards in the description. Next question then, Natalia also asked what not to talk about in a job interview in the Netherlands. In your opinion, as an interviewer, let's say, because you of course interviewed a lot of people already, right? So
I don't know if I have an example for specifically about the Netherlands. I think I would say two things. I think one, in the Netherlands, it's not so formal. Like in the Netherlands, for example, people don't work in a full-on suit, and also in an interview, I think interview we had, it's not that formal. Like it's quite personal, I would say. So that's one thing. Don't be too formal. Don't like worry about being yourself and being a bit more open. That's one thing.
More vulnerable.
And that's the second thing, the vulnerable part. I personally think in an interview you should always say what you're not good at. That's a mistake everyone makes. Like when people say, oh, I'm good at this, and then we ask them a question, so what's something you struggle with? And they say, I don't really have any struggles. That's like a big red flag for me as an employer.
Why?
If you don't know what your own struggles are, how will you overcome them? I think I always would say I'm a bit chaotic as a person. I'm not so structured. So it work well if I work with a person who's more structured. Then I'll be better. And as an employer, that's a good sign. Like, oh, this person knows himself, herself, and knows like what strengths are and also what weaknesses are. I think that's one thing that really makes you stand out. It works super well in interviews.
Okay, very good tips, guys. Now changing a little bit more in the perspective of having a business, a business owner. Natalia asked us, what do you consider essential when hiring an employee in the Netherlands?
What do I consider essential? In our case, so as our company, it's about someone that really wants to learn fast, because we're a tiny startup. So you need to have someone that can do a lot of different things. No one can do all these things right from the start. That's impossible. But if you want to learn fast, like when you're at work, you should really be there to because you like what you're doing. I think that's very important, that you want to learn and want to be better. That's the number one thing you need to have for me to work in our company.
That's really great. I think it depends on the market that you are in and the needs also for each position, right?
Because other companies would be completely, not every job requires you to constantly learn. Some jobs are way more stable and it might be a way better fit for you. So depends a lot on the job, I would say.
In Brazil, the companies in general, this is a very more technical question, let's say. Companies in Brazil in general, they pay in taxes 2 times the employee's salary. How does it work in the Netherlands? Like, how much an employee costs to the company?
Around the same, actually. So what you would earn as your salary, the company, it will be a factor 1.8 to 2.2, depending on your salary. So in a certain salary range, if your salary is quite high, more than half of it will go to tax. So it depends on your salary, but it starts around 1.8 times the salary that you would pay as a company for taxes. So
a lot of taxes as well here in the Netherlands, guys.
Yes, everywhere.
What is the higher taxes that employees pay to the government here?
Like what the max? I think it's 52%. I think that's it. Yeah, top of my head. So.
It's higher than in Brazil here. So.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I can say what we see here. We can see the money back in the streets.
I'm happy to spend it. Like I'm happy to pay this many taxes because I feel like everything is so structured. And like every time I go outside of Netherlands, I know it's like, oh wow, we're quite lucky how structured everything is. How
clean, organized, right? That's the good point of paying high tax.
And even when even though you pay high tax, on a normal salary, you can live quite nicely here. It's not that you run into any problems generally.
If you are paying 52%,
you're fine. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You must be happy paying.
When you're there, like you don't have to worry. You're good.
Next question, Freek, is as a business owner, what do Dutch people really appreciate in a job interview?
What I kind of talked about this before, of course. So what I appreciate is just someone who knows their flaws. But I think just being yourself is quite, because often people have this like facade when you're in a job and like you're very official, you're very structured. But I think just be yourself, because we're gonna work in a team with others, and it's nice if we already know what kind of person you are, if you're a fit. So that would be one thing I definitely have. And I think, one thing you really have to ask questions. At the end of an interview, there's always this moment where the employer will say, do you have any questions for us? At that moment, you should have at least 10 questions. You should not have any more questions because the time should be over, not because you don't have any more questions because the time is up. Like that is a sign of someone that's really interested, that really wants to work here. Always have a lot of questions.
I would say those are the same in Brazil. So it's not like.
Do you think there's differences really like in the interview?
I think in my experiences in big companies in Brazil, the interviews were more serious interviews. Not like that I felt comfortable enough to not be so formal as you said. So I think it depends a lot on who is interviewing. To making comfortable the environment for the person that is there to be interviewed. You know?
That's. I mean, also this is my perspective, but I'm not your typical employer also. So, but in general, also friends around me who are more like in other jobs, they also say it's quite friendly, personal in interviews.
More informal. In space, yes. Now Lucas asks, do Dutch people welcome expats? What is your opinion about it?
So I really welcome expats because there's a big shortage of people with high skill jobs. So yes, but this is not everyone. I mean, if we look at our last election, the party that won that election is not a big fan of actually a lot of expats, unfortunately, which I think is really a shame. So it depends completely on who you ask.
Which means that half of Dutch population agrees with that, right? Because then he won?
No, it's like 22%. But here we have so many parties, it's super scattered, so 22%, and then he was the biggest party with 22%.
Okay.
So it's not that I think still more than half of people welcomes expats. That's what I think. But yeah.
But apart,
no. It's hard to. It really differs per person.
Yeah. But I, sharing a bit of my experience since I arrived here, I always felt really welcome everywhere. Like not only in the job itself, but like everywhere we go, in the trains or whatever. Whenever we needed some help in the municipality, for example, everywhere.
And people will help you in English as well, like especially at the start when you don't, like people are happy to help you in English. Actually, it might be a problem at some point when you want to practice Dutch that they still want to help you in English.
That's a really true thing.
That's the only thing, but I think also when you're like close to cities or like those areas, you're fine. Then most 90% of people are very welcoming. When you're more to like the smaller towns, this is where people are a bit less welcoming. I think that would be also, if I generalize it, that would be there.
Yeah. Great. Last two questions to finish this video because it's already too long and
I'm speaking so fast.
And I have to present to him some caipirinhas yet after this video, so let's go for this the end of this video. Freek, is it true that Dutch people eat sandwiches at lunchtime at work?
There's nothing better than a sandwich with plain cheese every single day during lunch. No, I don't.
What do you have? Share with people which are your common lunches.
Okay, but
I will tell you if he's lying or not because I know what he has.
Okay, a common lunch is we get a bread. We get like a bread and we get some spreads or like cheese, so like hummus, cheese. I combine it and that's why. But sometimes I've leftovers from last evening.
Okay.
Yeah, right? I do that sometimes. I try to be better. Yes, I like it more, but sandwich is like traditional. So most time we just eat bread with some spread on it.
And then you have like a more full meal in the evening,
yes,
right?
Yes, that's where we eat our big meal. Yeah.
And what about bread with butter and sprinkles?
Yeah, so it's like chocolate on your bread. Oh, it's so good. Yeah. Although I don't eat it like as a kid, I ate it every day.
It's more kid food then.
I guess so. Well, I know some adults that also still eat it, but it's changing. Like as a kid, I also eat like cookies in your bread.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's also a thing you do.
Like a sandwich with cookies in it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like chocolate or with cookies and not so healthy if I think about it, but quite good.
Yeah.
We eat everything in a sandwich.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't come here for the Dutch food. Like that's not the reason to come to the Netherlands.
Yeah, but definitely bitterballen.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, but also very unhealthy. Like our good food is so unhealthy.
Yeah, but it's fine.
Yeah.
But then you cycle a lot, so it compensates.
Yes, that's where we compensate. Yeah. We cycle everywhere.
Last question to finish this video. Very important question. In Brazil, we don't share how much is our salary. How is it here in the Netherlands? Because I know it's different. Like we don't have this culture in Brazil. It's actually quite impolite to ask someone the salary.
Yeah. So
here you have a different culture.
Yes, here it's quite different, but I have to say it's a bit of a generation thing. So the younger generation here, for all my friends, for example, I know exactly what and we talk about it a lot. Like I would say most people under 40, under 50 would be quite open about what they earn, unless you're at a certain like really high salary, then people are more confidential about it. But all my friends, like we talk about it a lot. It's like a very common topic to talk about what you earn, what your benefits are. And I think it's really good because of this, you always know like where you're standing. Like you know if you're getting if you're underpaid by your employer, if you should get the better salary. So it's like we're very open about talking about salaries, and I think it's a really good thing. I think it's something we should keep doing because it's better for everyone and it's more likely you'll earn a fair wage.
Yeah, I totally agree, actually. Yes. Well then, thank you so much, Freek, for
You're welcome.
accepting the invitation of sharing your point of view as being a Dutch person and helping some Brazilians to have some clarity about the jobs here in the Netherlands, the situation of jobs here, and how it works, because there are so many different things comparing to our country. So thank you so much.
Of course, always fun.
Yes. Okay, see you in the next video. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe here in the channel, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.